Good evening, everybody. This is Monica Guzman coming to you once again on a Sunday night on a very busy sports summer. And maybe we do end up manifesting stuff because a lot of this stuff that's going on right now falls into the topics that I'm talking about. And it's pretty amazing to have some of this stuff playing out in real time. And so tonight I'm continuing my theme of the world competes against the American and also the Africanization of the West. Uh it's so I'll be talking about the Olympics, not the Olympics itself, but giving examples of stuff happening within the Olympics. And then also, so I had a very unique college experience that I will get into down the road. And I draw on those experiences to verbalize my thoughts or to provide evidence of my opinions, my observations, and my thoughts. And so basically, I need to pause this really quick. There's something going on in the background that, okay, I think it's itself. Um, so basically, I had a unique experience. Um, okay, so American basketball team lost, and it's the first loss since 2004. And it is like the sky is falling for a lot of people because American basketball doesn't lose in the Olympics. And part of that is because Africans represent the American basketball team. It's a tradition that goes back to Michael Jordan. And a lot of us respect Michael Jordan and we appreciate everything he did, all the positive attention he brought to the country and the gold medals and all that good stuff. And so, but at the same time, at some point, we've got to re-Americanize American representation. And I do mean got to get back to the roots, got to rebirth Americans. So for a few years, I was in a place where I was surrounded by several different cultures, several different countries. And when I was there, this is when Americans were shocked that there I was speaking English with a California accent. And it was, again, for me, even though I grew up in a homogeneous environment, I was exposed to a lot of things in high school. I attended several dinners, several conferences, I gave speeches, I participated in essay contests, I traveled. I had a lot of experiences, a lot of doors opened up to me. And based on that, it shaped me to do what I did after high school. And I was able to blend into those environments really well. I didn't pay attention to the differences between people because racism wasn't a thing during those days. And so I was able to see a lot of things. And then I have friends who traveled as well and saw a lot of things too. So, for example, I had a friend who used to travel to London often. And there was a time where she commented to me that she couldn't believe the amount of Muslims that were living in London. And this is the early 2000s. So we know that Muslims keep landing in England, and we know that now it's Muslims and Africans. So, what she used to see in the early 2000s, I can only imagine what she feels like she sees in 2021, where that population has just multiplied, right, exponentially. And it's the same thing in France. For example, the Champs-Elysees, you used to see an occasional gypsy begging for money in front of the McDonald's, right? I cannot imagine what the Champs-Elysees looks like today in 2021, given the influx of additional gypsies plus all the Africans. And we see the results of that migration that occurred in the probably the 1990s and the early 2000s, right? It's these populations that migrated to France, to England, probably Italy, probably Spain, probably Germany, have grown exponentially at this point, right? Because they're having kids. And so at that time in the early 2000s, I can tell you that an Italian, a French, a German, an English person would look at a group of people and they knew what an American looked like at that point. They wouldn't buy that an African was an American. If they saw an African, they would say, oh, there goes an African, not an American. And so in the Olympics, I mean, we see this in soccer where even the American soccer teams don't look American. They look foreign. Even the white ones look foreign. And then, so after the USA Mexico match, the guy that they sent out to do all the sports talk shows and stuff was African. They didn't send out an American to represent the American team at all of um, these sports talk show appearances that they have the players do, right? They sent out, of course, not shocking, right? They sent out an African. So the USA basketball team lost. And I looked at the pictures that were published on Twitter by, I think it's Bleacher Report. And when I look, I can tell you, that's not what French people look like. When I see these images of the guys representing France, they look Muslim to me. And then obviously for the American team, it's obviously Africans. And so when I talk about the Africanization, this is what I'm talking about. The French basketball team seems to be represented by Muslims. Obviously, the American team is represented by Africans. And so it's, again, the American population breaks down into 60% American, 18% Latino, 12% African. I don't know the Asian population, but it's a single digit number, right? And then you've got a little bit of everything else. And so Africans and then Jewish population is 1%. Even though Africans only represent 12% of the population, if people are looking at these images in 50 years, given that they're not going to be taught American history. They're not going to have parents who are going to pass down American history to them. They're going to look at these images, and their assumption is going to be that this is what an American has always looked like. Unless at that point they're teaching something where, oh, the big bad white people were rightfully put back in their place by the rightful owners, the Africans. We don't know what that narrative is going to be in 50 years. Some of us may be around in 50 years. We don't know. I mean, if we're still around, we're going to be at the tail end of our lives, right? We don't know what God has in store. But it's so when commercials are covered with Africans, TV shows are increasingly covered with Africans, athletes are increasingly African. What they're trying to do is this is conversion therapy through image bombardment. If you continually see a Dominican in an MLB uniform event, there's going to be people that buy the narrative just because those are the images being thrown at them. So it's weird. It's weird for me because that things are evolving this way, but they were meant to evolve in this manner, right? This was done on purpose. And it's crazy to see these agendas unfold in real time. Because in my case, I can think back 20 years ago, and I remember that this isn't what it looked like back then. Even professional sports teams, the French teams looked French, the Italian teams looked Italian, the American teams looked American. And it's weird. It's weird. But again, when I was watching the sports talk shows on cable, there was one former athlete who said that people like myself, people like us, we're not the target audience. We're already swords that have been forged. So basically, we are shaped the way we're going to be shaped the rest of our lives. Their target are the people who have no identity, the people who can still be bent in a certain direction, the people whose minds they can change through image bombardment for conversion therapy. And so, but see, all of this stuff provides opportunities. For me, as a sports fan, I see the opportunity to regrow, restart American culture. And part of it is going through sports. And I'm not talking about you guys got to start doing the gym bro thing. That's far away from my intention with the projects that I'm working on. My intention is to help improve health, physical and mental, just by doing what they used to do up through the early 1900s. And once we start doing stuff like that, you're going to see that Americans are going to be healthy again. Americans are going to be far happier. There will be no celebration of cowards who attempted to commit suicide and failed. There will be no celebration of cancer survivors. There will be no celebrations of what's another one that's really popular? MLB's got them all. Like they celebrate Lou Gehrig's disease or just there's this constant celebration of the weak. And the poor genes and poor health and poor mental health, degeneracy. It's all over MLB. Like I've said before, you don't ask who's on the disabled list now. You ask who hasn't ever been on the disabled list, because they've all got surgeries. They've all been, the stupid one is the hamstring one. Like somebody tweeted out, Babe Ruth didn't even know what a hamstring was when he was playing. Like, what is going on with the hamstrings? Like, and again, the military has also seen an increase in injuries, and these are injuries not caused by war, or troops actively participating in battle-like scenarios, and it doesn't even come from like friendly fire, right? It comes from the fact that the American male in 2021 is in poor health, is in poor mental health, physical health. The body of the American male in 2021 is what apparently Asians think Americans think of their men: frail, weak, skinny, no muscle tone. They trip and they break something, or they twist something. That is the state of the American male in the 2021 physically. And so there's ways to fix that. And that's what one of the things that I'm going to be working on next year, is helping to set stuff up. And again, it's not about doing the gym bro thing. It's not about exercising for vanity purposes. It's about getting Americans healthy, to like Babe Ruth healthy, Ty Cobb healthy, Honus Wagner healthy, Christy Mathewson healthy, Walter Johnson healthy. Like, these guys didn't go on the disabled list. These guys played complete games. Again, Babe Ruth didn't even know what a hamstring was, and that person that tweeted that is correct. How many times did Babe Ruth go on the disabled list? If anything, Babe Ruth used to get suspended, and that's why he was that's why he missed a few games, because he was doing Babe Ruth things. And it's Babe Ruth. We don't we don't question him. He just did what he did, and it was okay. Okay, so I looked up a couple things. So given that we're in Olympics season, I looked up the total medal count, and I wanted to see what I would find. And so from 1896, 2016, Summer Olympics, the Americans have amassed 1,022 gold medals, which is far and away way more than second place Soviet Union. But there's an asterisk, right? Because the Soviet Union, USSR, but still 395 gold medals comes in second place, where the Americans 1,022. Now, I'm not sure how exactly the medals are tallied. Like when the basketball teams used to win, is it one team medal, or is it one medal per player that goes into the tally? So I'm not sure, but still, right? If other countries' basketball teams were winning, then their totals would increase, and that is not the case. So the Americans regardless of the way that these totals are tallied, still come out on top with 1,022 gold medals, 1896 through 2016. Total medals, the Americans land at 2,523. Second place comes in at 1,010. And so these, this shows you that the world is competing against the American. The American is the target because the American spent 300 years getting smarter, physically adept at a lot of stuff, innovation, right? The American is the one that the world wants to take down because the American is on top. Now, the medal counts, I'm going to refresh and see if they change. So far, you've got China on top with 13 total medals and the USA with 12, which is a lot better than what it was yesterday. Because yesterday, the US was in third place. Now, how are the competitions going? It turns out, because there was a lot of hype on Simone Biles going into this, right? Like, she's landing stuff that nobody in the world can land. She is flipping ways that nobody else can flip. And I will be 100% honest. I don't root for athletes the way I used to root for them. So, for example, for me, it started with music. I'm more careful about the music that I listen to because I'm done with, I listen to something and then, oh, they're Marxist, anti-USA, pro-Antifa, Marxist, right? I'm just done with that. I've never been the type of person that goes to all the concerts, that buys all the albums, that buys all the posters. I had a friend like that growing up. She was very into New Kids on the Block, and she used to buy the magazines. And at that time, the magazines used to have contests. And so you would cut out the entry forms and then make a bunch of copies and mail them in, and you could win a jacket that was signed by all the guys and stuff like that. I had a friend like that. Now, again, I went to all of the schools that I went to were primarily Mexican. We were like 90% all the way through. She was American, so that's a cultural difference that occurs, right? And so, so with music, I'm more careful about what I listen to. I find myself sticking with the old stuff. Like I have my playlist that I've accumulated over time, and I rarely add new music to it. New music from today. I'm done. I'm just done. Christmas music, Christmas time is a wonderful time because they play, I mean, artists today aren't writing Christmas music because they don't celebrate Christmas, right? But you'll come across the radio stations that do Christmas music 24/7 from like November through January. And it's actually great that today's artists don't participate in Christmas music because you don't have to listen to them, and you get Elvis, you get Bing Crosby, you get the Frank Sinatra, you get obviously Mariah Carey, you get and then just the older stuff, right? Like one of my favorite Christmas songs is from, I believe it's from Home Alone, and I can't remember the the group's name, but they were African, and they have a cool Temptations, like, what is it? Is it soul? I don't think it was R&B yet at that point. Um, and so again, you know, Elvis was Elvis. Bing Crosby was Bing Crosby. None of this Marxist nonsense entering your music space. You don't have to put up with it. And so with athletes, I do the same thing now. Even though Simone Biles was hyped up, let's say she turns out to win a bunch of stuff. Okay, well, is she going to give the American flag the respect that it deserves? Or is she going to bust out with some Black Lives Matter, Juneteenth nonsense under the American flag? I wouldn't have a problem with it if Africans, even the ones residing on American soil, represented some African flag. I mean, like, what I'm thinking is give Africa an overall flag. The way United States, we have our national flag, and then there are states flags. So maybe Africa needs some sort of national flag that the Africans residing on American soil that don't want to respect the American flag can respect that one. But then you've got to go compete for your own country. Don't take the podium away from an American that wants to compete and respect the flag. It's just, people are over it. People aren't watching the Olympics. I'm talking about it because it's sports and it relates to the overall stuff that I'm working on. So I'm doing it for research purposes. It's not, oh, the Olympics. It's not, right? People are pointing out, they're tweeting that there's no motivation to watch the Olympics since it's just a hodgepodge now of Africans spread out over several countries. I mean, if you want to watch the French team compete, you don't want to watch Africans. You want to watch French. You want to watch Italian. You want to watch German. You want to watch Spaniards. Like, nobody wants to watch a bunch of Africans trickled out through all of the countries. They don't. They don't. Okay. We've got to reconfigure this stuff out because I hope we don't get to a civil war, but we are figuring out the root causes of the troubles happening to America and happening to the West. And again, I add that this stuff could spill over into Mexico very easily. And we don't want it. We don't want this. We do not want this. America should be American, and all the other countries should be their people too. And so we'll see where all of this stuff ends up. So the Africanization of the West, I see it because I watch sports. And again, in soccer, it's stupid. It's so stupid to watch a soccer match that's supposed to be between France and England or Italy and England, and then all you see running on the field are a bunch of Africans. It's stupid. Nobody wants to watch that. And nobody in their right mind, obviously we know that Marxists are mentally ill and they hate themselves. And so they watch and they root and they cry for the Africans. But other people who aren't watching anymore and just have left it behind are not interested in that. And so it gets more nefarious because, again, you've got to start thinking about the images that people are going to see in 50 years. So they're going to see a bunch of Africans everywhere. They're going to see Africans wearing USA. They're going to see a bunch of Africans wearing France. go through all the countries, right? And so if because I realized that we learn everything. Um, and so that means that if people 50 years down the road aren't taught what an American was, they are not going to know. They're going to look at these images, they're going to watch these movies, watch these television shows, and they're going to watch these commercials and study advertisements, and they're going to see Africans everywhere. And so their assumption is going to be that America is African, that France is African, that Italy is African, that England is African. So if we don't push back on this stuff in 2021, you can't you cannot cry for the future. If you're not pushing back, too, you can't cry for the future because you helped it evolve in that direction. And so it's just as simple as rejecting, right? So the ratings for the Olympics are going to be super poor this year on American soil. Who knows about everywhere else? But on American soil, they're going to be poor. And that's just because all the nonsense that led up to it, the fact that you look at it and all you see are Africans. And I want to point out that, so for a long time, for several years, I thought that Africans were better athletes at some sports. And then I started to pay more attention and I realized that that is completely false. And my example is American baseball history. So when I look at the statistics of the American baseball pioneers and I compare them to what MLB sells, your Ken Griffey Jr.'s, your Barry Bonds, your Derek Jeters, your CC Sabathias, your Ozzie Smiths, Willie Mays, all those guys, right? When I compare statistics, the African player does not overshadow the American baseball pioneers in American baseball. Now, there's going to be an effort to integrate Negro League baseball statistics into MLB statistics very soon. And I'm actually really glad that, again, it's weird, right? Like, do you really manifest, like, it's just weird that stuff works in your favor and that stuff lands on your lap. So when I started to look at the top 20 statistics, I did it right before MLB announced that they were integrating Negro League statistics into MLB statistics. And I'm so, as soon as I heard that announcement, I made sure to fix up what I had recorded before everything gets mixed up, because I'm going to look at my set of statistics and I'm going to say, this is the true, these are the true numbers, and that's just a lot of nonsense, glorified Dominican Winter League statistics. I mean, you've got African players, African MLB players who will tell you that a lot of the stories that come out from the Negro Leagues, or a lot of that folklore, they don't know if it's true. Jimmy Rollins confessed to this just last postseason. A lot of the stories that they hear about Satchel Paige and a bunch of other guys, they don't even know if they're true. So we don't even know if the statistics that they're going to try to integrate are even real. And then we don't know the standard that they use. For example, I'm going to compare it to, it's just a glorified Dominican Winter League, which is whatever. It's like, why don't you just integrate high school statistics while you're at it? So the true statistics, I've got them saved, are the American baseball pioneer statistics pre 2020. And then from there, there's going to be a lot of asterisks, right? Garrett Cole, Scherzer, Wainwright, Justin Verlander, a lot of cheaters among them, right? And so something that I'm going to look into, Garrett Cole was interviewed as soon as MLB started checking for the pitchers who were cheating. And Garrett Cole stated that the tradition of cheating was passed down. And so Garrett Cole got buddied up with Andy Pettit. I don't know how much advice he received from CC Sabathia, but when Garrett Cole stated that cheating is a tradition that was passed down, obviously Andy Pettit was involved. Andy Pettit did steroids or used a steroid cream that he wasn't supposed to use. So we already know that Andy Pettit is a cheater. And then by the same token, we know that CC Sabathia was just a compiler. And so it's going to be interesting to see if there's anybody out there that traces back the cheating path. Because I'm assuming that Garrett Cole got the cheating from the Steinbrenner Yankee players as opposed to the Pirates. If Justin Verlander was cheating too, then he cheated with the Astros pre-Zach Greinke, and then cheated with the Tigers, right? That's where he came from, the Tigers. So we'll see. That's not something that I have time to do in the near future, but maybe there's somebody out there that traces the cheating spider web. Like Adam Wainwright has been cheating, right? And he's only been with the Cardinals. So are other Cardinal players cheating because of him? We don't know. Doesn't really matter. I don't see Wainwright as a Hall of Fame candidate. And then the cheating stuff just solidifies it. Okay, so the world competes against the American, and the great example to show that is the total Olympic medal count. Far and away, the United States has far more medals than any other country. These are competing against the American. Now, does China have one more medal than the United States at this time? Why isn't the United States soundly crushing the competition? Well, because it's not American athletes representing America anymore. It's African athletes. It's mentally ill athletes. It's other people, right? It's Americans aren't representing themselves anymore in these competitions. And so there's a lot of opportunity there, and I'm very confident that we can accomplish it. It's just going to take commitment from people and an understanding that we have to do it without resources at our disposal. It sounds really cliche to say we're going to do it by the bootstraps. It's not going to be bootstrapping. It's going to be resourcefulness. It's going to be the way that the original Americans set up all this infrastructure that surrounds us. Americans did this. Americans set down the foundation for the Jewish population to take it all over and to absorb it and to turn it into degeneracy, right? Like the Jews would not have been able to build Hollywood. They would not have been able to take over MLB, the NBA, the NFL, had Americans not laid down the foundation. So the Jewish population controlling all this stuff is never going to be able to claim that they did it. It's always going to be that they did it off the backs of Americans. You've got to go somewhere else, whether it's China or it's Israel. I mean, why doesn't Israel have its own stock market, its own Silicon Valley? Why does everything, why can you only accomplish these things on American soil? It's because nobody else can build what the Americans built. It starts with the infrastructure. And the Americans are the only successful country to build this stuff because of their Christian roots. When I was watching the sports talk shows, somebody pointed out that all the soccer teams rely on American resources because the level of corruption in the soccer world is insane, because it's run by other countries that don't have Christian values. Therefore, they can't set up the proper infrastructure because there's corruption and there's greed and there's low IQ. Whereas in America, Americans set up a system of checks and balances, and then there's just there's a moral authority where there's things that you don't do. You don't embezzle funds. You don't skim off the top. You don't bribe your players. You don't threaten your players. And so it's further proof that the reason why America was able to succeed and get up to this point is because of its foundation of Christian values that no other country will ever be able to achieve to this level. It's just not going to happen. Now, I'll be honest, some of the things that I want to help roll out, I hope that some of them get adopted in Mexico too. I don't know how much we can cut through the corruption that's there and the violence that's there, but any Mexican nationalists that are out there, if you want to prove your nationalism, you will at least make an effort to see if it could at least get tempered down so that Mexicans can start returning to Mexico. And then I'm all in favor of setting up the contract system that existed in the 1960s so that Mexicans still have the population to earn an income, but they have to go back, right, when the contracts expire. Because American resources are just expended. I mean, what is the national debt at this point? We don't know. At least I don't know. But it's probably pretty huge, right? So the world competes against the American because the American's the standard bearer. The American became the standard bearer thanks to its Christian roots. Without it, you don't have these systems that property rights, right? Property rights, you have the right to own your own home. The government can't come and take it out from under you. And if they want to, there's a long process to discourage them from doing so that protects the homeowner at least for several months. Obviously, in some cases, the government has succeeded, but these things don't exist in other parts of the world. Again, Israel is basically, I was thinking about it earlier today. So Israel is situated in the Middle East, and we know that the Middle East is a lot of sand. And so I was like, Israel is just another Middle Eastern country in many ways. It's still sand. And it's like Africans in Wakanda, right? Like, okay, if you guys are so brilliant, you're Jamel Hills and your Shannon Sharps and your Magic Johnsons, why haven't you built Wakanda in Africa yet? Why are you still here siphoning resources and all your nonsense about Juneteenth? And it's just, it's tiresome. It's tiresome. Like, and it's that tired feeling that motivates people. Like, right? Done hearing it, done listening to it. God, it's time to do something about it, right? I know, I mean, just sitting here thinking about it, it's like so over it. Beyond over it. And that provides a lot of opportunities. So we'll see how it all unfolds next year. So it looks like I'm going to be able to wrap up early today. As far as the Shohei Ohtani stuff, so okay, this might extend me past the hour after all. Okay, so Shohei Ohtani is Japanese. Apparently, even though he's Japanese, he never went to Japan, which is like how weird to admit something like that. Born in Japan, didn't want to play for Japan. Okay. In my case, it's different. I'm born and raised in America. So that's why I may not be blood, but I defend America as if I was a blood citizen. I respect this country. I love this country. I think it's great. You got Shohei Ohtani rejecting his homeland. I think that's really weird, but okay. So I thought about it a little bit more. So why did MLB hype up Shohei Ohtani so much? Because the Olympics are in Japan, so this is MLB's effort to either latch on to the Olympics or to compete against the Olympics, which they're going to fail miserably in both ends anyway. So, but again, what the Jewish population has done to MLB is taken it from America's national pastime to an engineered entertainment vehicle that people don't want to watch because they know that it's fake. So the Shohei Ohtani hype against the Olympics shows yet again that MLB is just an engineered fake entertainment vehicle. And I get it that MLB has to figure out how to sell what it's produced, but you can sell all you want, but the line is drawn where you try to discredit Babe Ruth, or you try to discredit the American baseball pioneers, or you try to discredit their statistics. Nothing that MLB players are doing today comes close to what the American baseball pioneers do. So if MLB figures out a way to separate the two, then I would back off a little bit. Otherwise, I personally am going to continue proving that MLB is just a rotting wasteland in several ways, because I can't find better words, but it's just there, right? People don't care for it the way that they used to. And so, no, I guess I did keep it a little bit short. Shohei Ohtani is just another narrative that MLB needed because it's trying to compete with the Olympics, which are being held in Japan. And so they felt that if they hyped up a Japanese guy, that it would help them, again, either latch on to the Olympics or compete with the Olympics. And they're going to fail in both miserably because not only are people not watching MLB, they're not watching the Olympics either. So whatever. And by the way, as soon as MLB, the NBA, the NFL, the sports channels started to worry about whether or not out-of-home ratings were included in the ratings or not, you lost. You lost. I mean, think about things in your life. When you've got to really dig into the weeds, you've lost the argument, right? When you've got to try to maneuver here and there and peck at that little corner over there to try to salvage your argument, you lost. You lost. Because the ratings, the out-of-home ratings should be a bonus, should be something that boosts as opposed to something that saves your argument. You lost. So I think I don't have a better word to use. It's stupid. It's stupid. You lost. I guess maybe it's they're trying to really peck at the corner because of the average. That's something that I definitely want to explore. If I end up exploring it, I'm not going to explore it by myself. I would definitely bring in somebody to walk through it with me. Like, okay, so domestic terrorist LeBron James is the first player to be worth $1 billion. So what they're doing is they're basically counting all the contracts that he's been given over his NBA career. Obviously, a lot of that stuff is inflated, and obviously a lot of that stuff is just paper numbers, paper accounting, like EBITDA or whatever, right? A lot of nonsense, probably illegal accounting. So I'm going to argue that regardless of what paper number is assigned to LeBron's value, it will never match what Michael Jordan did and continues to do. Because I'm pretty sure Nike makes a profit off Jordan, and I'm pretty sure that people that partner with LeBron lose money. I doubt any of them are making a profit. Now, I definitely can't walk through this by myself. So I would love to walk through an example with one of the zero hedge guys. So we'll see at that point if I've got enough credibility to not partner with, but I want to walk through, or they can refer me to somebody that'll walk through the example with me. So, okay, 1 billion supposedly on paper at least has been sunk into LeBron James, but how much of that has turned into profits? And when it's the loss, where does the loss go? That's going to, when we dig into the loss, where does the loss go? That's when we're going to crack a lot of stuff. I still feel that we need to figure out a way to deflate the value of properties. I don't know if by doing that it's going to hurt homeowners. So maybe there's some stuff that we can do to prep them for it. I guess it impacts homeowners with mortgages, right? Because if you deflate the value, then they are underwater on their mortgage. But we've got to figure out how to deflate a lot of the stuff that's happening right now. That's cracking the code, serious stuff right there. And the only people I can think of that would be adept or even able to walk through that stuff intelligence-wise is the zero hedge guy. So we'll see what happens. Or maybe they've already got something out there that they can publish. I know I'll find it. So let me start wrapping up then. So this weekend's theme is the world competes against the American because the American is the standard bearer. Now, why can countries compete against the American in 2021? Why is the foot race more close? Because the American is being told to sit on their balls and play video games all day. The American is being told to smoke pot all day, so you're burning up your brain cells. By sitting down on your balls all day, you're damaging your sperm's DNA, which means that your children are going to be lower quality. So this stuff is going to have an impact generations down the road. Okay, so, and then on the other side, women are being told to get fat, to dye their hair weird colors, to basically erase their beauty, their natural beauty. Women are being told to get fat and ugly. Men are being told to get high, fat, and lazy. So if Americans were still running America in 2021, would other countries be able to compete against them? The answer is no. No. But so much has happened to the Americans since World War I and World War II that the quality of the American has fallen a lot. Okay, the other side, the other topic that I spoke about was the Africanization of the West. We've got to really be careful. About 20 years ago, it was Muslims that were getting shipped into France, England, Italy, Spain. I don't know about Germany. There were, right? And so we've got to figure that stuff out. Encourage Africans like Jamel Hill, Magic Johnson, Shannon Sharp. If they want to be African, go for it. But maybe it's best to be African nationalist on African soil. That way you guys can truly thrive on your own merit, your own resources, your own brain power, and then you can compete head to head with Americans, and then we can see who truly comes out on top, right? No more victimhood, no more victim stuff. Let's do it. Let's see what happens, right? So now for the next 2 weekends, I'm not going to stream live. I've got some preparation I want to do for August 12th. On August 12th, I'm going to go daytime, probably morning, super early, either 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, or it would be 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll see what I can pull off personally. So I fix my hair, I fix my eyebrows, I fix my eyelashes so that I don't have to wear makeup. So I personally like the way I look in the morning. I think I look fresh and I look a lot better. So the day wears on you, right? You guys know that in the morning when you wake up, if you're eating well enough, you wake up with a flat stomach and your skin's tight. And then as the day wears on you, your skin starts to droop, your belly starts to pop out a little bit because you ate. I think I look better in the morning. And right now I'm not wearing makeup. Again, I have oily skin and we had a little break in the weather, thankfully, thank God. Shout out, right? Thank you for finally delivering a break from the heat. And so right now with the heat and makeup and oily skin, it just does not. It's not good. I've had a lot of years to learn that it does not mix well. And so, anyways, August 12th, Christy Mathewson. Then we've got August 13th, August 16th, a couple more milestone baseball, American baseball pioneer stuff. I'm hoping that some of you out there will be there to help me celebrate a Cy Young milestone. The way you guys, it was really cool to see the number of people that celebrated Babe Ruth Day 2021. That was really awesome. So I know Cy Young is not as well known as Babe Ruth is among Americans, but maybe we can just celebrate him. He was a great American. He's worth celebrating. So the next 2 weekends, I will not stream live. And after those 2 weekends, I'm going to spend August streaming first thing in the morning, Pacific Standard Time. Maybe I will still go an hour. I think in September, after A.G. Spalding's week, then I'm going to go shorter time frames, which was always my intention from the start. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload a video probably in 4 portions. And I'm going to, I think I'm going to narrate it. And it's going to be a video showcasing the resumes of the American men who signed the Declaration of Independence, who were there for the Constitution Convention. I want you guys to see their resumes. I want you to understand what I mean about the importance of blue collar work. You can still be intelligent and do your white collar stuff, but I think that blue collar work rounds out men better than just the white collar stuff. I think it gives you a better perspective on life. I think it gives you, it makes you a man. Let me say it that way. It makes you a man as opposed to just some child in a suit or a nerd in a suit. It gives you some street credibility too. I think it's important. And then also we need to know that you're able to survive something like that, that you can survive whatever you decide to do, whether it's ranching for a summer, whether it's farming for a summer, whether it's manufacturing, whatever. Pick something, become a man, okay? And I'm going to prove to you with the people who, again, were involved in signing the Declaration of Independence and all that good stuff. So I won't see you guys, or you won't see me for the next 2 weeks, live anyway. I will be back August 12th, live, first thing in the morning, Pacific Standard Time, talking about Christy Mathewson. So in the meantime, I will continue tweeting, and we'll see how stuff shapes up, topics that I've talked about, how they shape up, and we'll just go from there. So I hope everyone has a wonderful next 2 weeks. See you August 12th. That time I will actually tweet out the links and actually post clips of the videos and stuff like that, because I used this time to figure out where I'm lacking. I used this time to understand what it takes to stream live, to all the work that goes into it, all the preparation that goes into it. So I definitely respect live streamers, because I have experience in the back, behind the camera. So it takes a lot of work for sure. And so I figured out just stuff for myself, what I need to do to improve, what I need to do to help myself be clear and communicate. And so again, I hope you guys have a wonderful next 2 weeks. I will see you back live August 12th, talking about the wonderful Christy Mathewson. Thank you again. See you soon.